All right, guys, we're going to talk about the movie Infestation. 2009's Infestation. Lee, had you seen it before?
No.
This was something that came out in like that pocket of things, so I was familiar with it. Hadn't seen it since it came out.
You saw it at the time?
Yes.
Back in the day? Yeah. I loved it.
No, it's a fun movie. The main character I like, I feel like he's a guy like, like, oh, I've seen you in this, that, and other thing, but like my mentally can't like go like, oh yeah, he's from that. Like he gives me a vibe of like someone who'd be in like the Grandma's Boy crew or something.
No, it like feels of its time, but it feels like it was like smart and like overlooked and like for like whatever. It's like kind of mild. It's going for a comedic tone, but at the end of the day, like as a screenplay, I just think it's really tight. And this is what I usually mean when I say you can have shitty looking CG effects, just make it a real movie though with like a story. And I got really into it.
I enjoy it. I do think it still has a lot of sci-fi original vibes that like crush certain moments for me.
It's borderline, which is why I want to emphasize, like, I'm shocked, but I'm like, this is good. This like just like
pushes that train over the hill.
Like a killer whale at SeaWorld that just slides over up onto the ledge. It just barely made it over the finish line, and I'm like, okay.
It just barely crushed that little boy who was holding his arm up as Michael Jackson played.
We freed Willie completely, and that kid was crushed. Every bone in his body was broken. It just barely made it over the edge. But like, I'm like, thumbs up. This is worth watching.
It's got one word title. It came out in the early in the 2000s. It's got everything I need. All right, guys, if you've seen it or don't care, falls up to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video, and we eat the competition.
All right, so here we are for the spoilers of Infested. So let me hear them spoiler-filled thoughts.
I was really concerned. It starts with like a long credit sequence. And there's a quick thing of like a cold open with like a cocoony person, and I'm like, what are we? And then it cuts to like, I'm an annoying office guy, Dad, and on the phone and stuff, and I'm like, uh-oh.
This is waiting with bugs.
Yeah, I'm like, this has been we're like 7 minutes in or whatever.
I go out of my way to get you a job, which wasn't easy with that gaping hole in your resume.
There are no hole. I was working in Mexico, Dad.
Oh, bartending doesn't count in the real world, son.
I forget when it happens. It might even be 5 minutes, but it's like minutes where I'm like, uh-oh, this is not, it's a funny movie.
Yeah, clinically tested.
Maureen would like to see you.
No, we accept all major credit cards,
You're not fooling anyone.
And then he's like fighting with his boss, and kapow! I fucking like sat up in my chair. I'm like, oh shit, wait, like this loud noise, and incapacitates everyone. It's very disorienting, and the movie really captures how that feels, this disorientation.
Get everyone playing games on the floor.
Of like waking up and then the little like skittering noise of the bug now, and the dude figuring stuff out, and from there I was like hooked. I was like on the edge of my seat watching the rest of the movie.
It happened very quickly. Like
great, yeah.
A lot of it jumped right in, which is not how a lot of your like
throws you into
sci-fi-esque,
it,
original feeling movies go. Usually it's like, okay, we're half an hour in and now something happened, because we don't want to show too much of these bugs. They cost us money. But this one, I did think they went for it very fast.
And the main character is not like, I'm an entomologist. I'm like a bug guy at the lab, and something happens. He's just a random schmuck.
What do you know?
Look, I've been awake 10 minutes longer than you.
Right.
And that's perfect for the.
I don't even know why he woke up. Like, honestly, he's just the chosen one.
Happens. Yeah, exactly. It randomly happens sometimes. And I love that they didn't fucking explain, like.
I remember thinking at first, because like what it is doing is like it's injecting you in your mouth with like a protein to keep you alive while you're in a coma, so that they can eat you later and you don't become spoiled meat, because these bugs like to have fresh meat, I guess.
Yeah, I was confused because I wasn't sure if they were sucking on you and like getting a little out of you too or something, or how it was working. But yeah.
But so when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is a bug on his side. It gave him a little wake up juice. Because he woke up like right after that when everyone else didn't wake up. In fact, he spawned the revolution, seemingly.
No, and like that angle of it, and just the whole, we're jumping ahead, but like I thought this movie was like realistic.
It makes sense that someone remains, wakes up as many people as possible. It's what I need to do.
Not that other, like, not really realistic, but like it had an interesting take on like how people, because like, okay, if if it's The Walking Dead, if like most people are not there anymore, there's not that many people. If you have a fight, one of you can just leave. This whole thing of like, I'm Negan now and I'm gonna do all this fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, that would happen much later once resources are scarce and stuff. And everyone's motivation is like, I'm gonna get back to like my apartment and see if my family is dead or whatever. So everyone like pieces out, and like you know the one lady is like, I'm gonna stay behind and wake up more people. And you're like, oh yeah, what the fuck? Of course, someone should do that. And it was very like,
especially in a fight for your survival situation.
Yeah. Where like different people take it different ways. Some people fall apart, some people do whatever, but it's not the stereotypical like, why are you fighting about this now in the middle of the apocalypse? People are also saying, oh, it's like a protein, oh, I have to find this, oh, I have to find that. They're like researching and stuff.
It's a sedative, but it's a protein too.
How'd you figure that?
Well, it kept us sleeping, and pregnancy tests, they detect complex proteins.
Oh, we trapped one in this like supply closet. Oh, it seems like the gas is flammable. They're like learning and trading information.
They
and
do
stuff,
a
and you're
good
like,
job
oh.
of setup and payoffs in this movie.
Yes.
And like one of them is that, like, you know, with the flammable gas.
There's red gas gathering on top of the janitor closet too.
Like in the sky?
They exhale it, but I don't know what it is.
And then later
Yeah,
on, there's
we knew where that was going
explosion.
instantly.
But they do a nice job of just like saying things like very like, you know, this is not something to hang on or lay focus on. The only time they did this, and it really made me mad, was she's like, oh, I had this idea that I'd be this like biker chick in the future.
When I was young, before I knew it wasn't a real job, I used to want to grow up and be a motorcycle girl.
That's awesome.
The payoff, the logical payoff here is the end of the movie is she's driving down with like bikes and like doing something. But what they do is go like, so you're my biker chick?
So you're my motorcycle girl?
Yeah, something like that.
Awesome.
Fucking wasted.
Like total afterthought. Totally, yes. I was equally pissed. I too thought, oh, we end up and like they get a bike started, and like she like gets behind him and he's like, you know, this is really awkward, right? This is like very funny based on. She's like, I know, shut up, or and you undercut it and it just takes place. You know, when things all fall into place magically and it's like, oh, it's exactly the thing that you jokingly said or whatever. It could have been one of those. The whole ending where they're just like, what the fuck, and then just cuts and stuff.
Look, ends.
Look.
It ended, so how the beginning starts so quickly, it ends so fucking quickly. Where I'm like, you didn't have an ending. You just stopped the movie. It just stopped.
And like intro, title, credits, sequence, like graphics, no movie. Most movies today just throw you into the movie because they're like, we don't have time for this credit sequence.
Yeah.
Ending the same deal. I think I had paused it or something and I'm like, all right, there's like 10 minutes left. It's the epilogue, and then like with 7 minutes left, it's like credit start.
Yeah.
Like it's a very short film,
Yeah, I took a piss break at like 10 minutes left.
Oh.
Like not knowing there were 10 minutes left. I hit pause and there's 10 minutes left. And
there's not 10 minutes left.
No, there's like 1 minute left.
The movie's like an hour 15.
Yeah, the whole thing really compact very quickly at that end.
Not that makes it bad, but it's a thing of like, okay, they were trying to like, oh, this is a movie.
But it's what sticks in your mind. Like when something ends, like if the last bit is a little like, oh, it's underwhelming, the movie feels underwhelming.
No, and like it wasn't even like, oh, well, like usually I try to crawl up my own ass and figure out like, well, this is trying to say something about how there's always a thing that happens that's, and I'm like, no, none of the way it ends, I think, pays off what are like the themes of the movie. Or whatever. It just feels like we're like, okay, end the movie now, and just ended the movie.
Only part that I thought was kind of charming was his father, who was like the devil from Reaper.
You know, it's funny how it all worked out in my favor.
I like that guy a lot. I don't know his name, but I should. Yeah. He was in RoboCop, right? Like,
he's a
like a famous actor.
Guy, whatever.
Go into that nest.
You want to do that?
Hey, what happened to Albert's going to happen to me. I want to go out in style, my boy.
Loved his little thing, like whatever the fucking son's name. He's like, yeah. He's like, this game is fun. Like,
son.
Yeah.
So that would be a point for me. Yeah, it's a fun game.
He can deliver that line.
He pulled it off.
Not everyone could deliver that line, and it would be good.
Yes, this is where they have a game, and it's a stupid thing. There's a whole father-son arc. There's a whole love interest arc. There's a whole society and like doing something meaningful with your life arc. Like it's a really interesting film in that way. But that dad is like the asshole prepper dad for whom his son has never. And he even says like, "Listen, I'm very proud of you. You like made it this far, but now fucking chill out, and I'm in charge.
Yeah, let daddy take care of it.
Yeah, let me go fucking." And just like, ugh. And he never gives him any credit and all that other shit. right? But normally it would like bother me, where it's like you're laying it on too thick. But this I think found exactly the tone to like make those things like it was the most painless movie you've made me watch, I think, in a long time.
In a while.
I was like, wow, this is very easy to watch. Yeah.
No, it felt good.
You can't call for her, okay?
What if that was you out there?
Well, it's not me anymore, is it?
No, just your little sister.
Don't call her that. She's a dog.
This is approachable for people that don't necessarily like these things. It doesn't have that super low budget tone, but it's definitely in that pocket.
That's true, because I think it's like horror or something, but it's really just like sci-fi comedy horror. Last is horror. Like barely
I don't
horror,
think it actually is a sci-fi original, but it has all the hallmarks of like a good one.
What have they done to us?
And I think this is the thing where, as an outsider, you're like, oh, CG bugs, and all those movies are the same. And I've been shouting to no one, no, they're not all the same.
Yeah.
Some of them are real movies. Some of them just have Tara Reid in a lab coat for an hour in the middle and nothing happens.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
This is a real movie.
Yeah.
And this is one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't make a big attempt to explain much of anything. I liked when you see the end, like, oh, they're like, the hive is like, oh, is that a meteor? Like, did this just crash here? Oh, that's kind of cool.
Exactly.
The thing that falls apart a little for me is like the queen has this power that she can like vocalize and knock everything unconscious, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. But what doesn't make sense to me is like the bugs don't like destroy their way into everything. Like everyone is cocooned wherever they were, like literally.
Yes.
And everyone's in their house with the doors shut. It might not be locked, but the doors are certainly shut. So that's kind of weird. And that they got everyone like instantly.
You want the scene of like the keys in the door and the doorknob jangles and like a newspaper's underneath and the bug is
that's
like,
how the raptors would get in.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. These are intelligent bugs, you have to
just like something, or if they were smaller, like if the things that infected you, or like or knocked you out were tinier, or could do something, or like they do inject and take over bodies of people. So like maybe something like that. Like
no, there's
a little bit twist on this.
There is something missing. I'm okay generally with that type of stuff because this feels like you're seeing this giant thing from like the ground view, where you don't get that aerial view of like what it all looks like. But that is a major where it's kind of like this feels almost like a paranormal like ghost like thing that knocks you out, because like they're just alien bugs. They should accidentally be knocking things over. Like the dad's like bay window should be shattered in, and he's like boarding it up. Have a nice thing of like, oh, I never can work with your hands, son. And he, just to show that they've had to break into.
And to say that they're blind works for some of your story elements. But it falls apart in others, because if you can't see them walking or hear their heartbeat or whatever, how do you find them sleeping? Like, where does that all work out? So like something was missing.
Do we know how long they were out? I feel like that
3 days.
Okay, so there's time for everyone to get off the toilet, go outside, wonder what's happening, and get like taken by a bug, I guess.
Yeah.
But yes, and it's a great comedy moment too, when it's like, so is your dad here? Is he alive? And it's like, yeah, he's gooed up on his elliptical.
Yeah.
And they're like,
don't you think you should go back there?
Yeah.
You're gonna let him out? He's like, I'm working up to it. Hold on. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm prepping. I'm working up to it.
But yes, he's like in the garage in his elliptical. So like, are you picturing the bug like hit the door shut button and then sneak out just in time for the door?
Yeah.
Like how
I don't know what you're
how is
supposed
it
to
not
believe.
broken?
Well,
into
even them, our main character and the boss, who ultimately is the lead actress's mom who dies. Are in her office. The door is shut. Inside an office building with the door shut.
They're
and
crawling around
on multiple floors. So
something
had to have happened. The idea that they are safe anywhere is like, well, how are you safe there?
Yeah, I almost wonder if that was the compromise from like a showing the audience thing of like, they have to believe that they're safe indoors, all these places. So if every building has to have a huge hole in the side of it, it just complicates stuff and adds to their
to the budget. That's why I think I would have taken away the webbing, because they're not spiders. They're like beetles. I would have taken that away. We have at least 2 types. We have the flying ones and the regular ones.
Yeah.
So I would have added a smaller thing that's like mosquito size that just travels out and you can barely see them and they just bite you and it knocks you unconscious.
Or
But
even like
our
a
lead
little
character is
whatever.
like diabetic or something and his insulin like counteracts the thing and he's able to wake up.
No. You have like a little. They could even be like the size of your fist. But like, you know, kind of like in Aliens, the xenomorph life cycle, you have a little larva form. So everyone who's like passed out could have like a gas mask looking alien on their mouth.
Be face hugged.
You know, face hugger, literally. You could just do that, I guess. So,
Yeah, and when they're babies, they can see. They lose their ability to see as they get older.
Or so, whatever, exactly.
Because even when they take over a person, the person gets blind.
Ow! Remember your wife? Remember your wife? Yeah, Mary!
And I'm like, that's interesting.
Well, yeah, the eyes turn the milky white for like a visual for the audience, but yeah, it's the idea that like they have no concept of sight, so they're not using your sensory organs.
Yeah.
I love the like hybrid thing or whatever.
It's certainly interesting.
When the legs,
because you scorpion up.
Because like you see one already turned and like you're not sure what's going on if it's just like his torso, but then you really get a good look when the older dude gets the dad of the deaf dude, and you see.
Do not wake up that guy.
Well, I'm thinking the safest place for these people would be in the cocoon.
You see his legs curl up behind him all terrifyingly, and then the like bug legs take over and stuff, and it's like and then you had the face and the fucking. There's a lot of. It was almost like Raimi-esque or like Evil Dead-esque with the weird bit of makeup on. They're like doing their thing. I'm like, this is.
When that little
like
dog is also turned, I was like, brilliant.
Okay.
Lucy! Get the weed, Lucy! Gee, Lucy.
I see what you're doing here. Exactly.
You've got me.
Of course.
And like it responds to like a normal dog command.
Yeah, exactly.
I almost would have loved if that would have joined their little band of merry men. Like, no, it's still Sparky.
He's okay. I think
like,
dogs are different or something.
Yeah,
exactly. They can't take him over.
It's man's best friend.
Yeah.
He would never hurt me.
Or like they take it in stride where like the dad is like, no, come on, and like, what are you doing? But then like the dad's right and the dog is cool.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like the dog's been taken over. He's been turned into some kind of monster. He's like, well, you're not the same either. You never call. Like
that's your sister.
This whole thing. Yeah, exactly.
She's got a bow in her hair.
They have all this baggage. They have all this fucking which is good to have, and to just rapid fire, because that's where the comedy tone comes in, where they can just rapid fire deliver all this baggage to each other, and it's soaked in all their interactions.
That was meant to be decorative.
Yeah, there's a whole thing with the relationship with the dad, with the kid trying to prove himself and all that stuff, and it's interesting because they are just kind of talking past each other in a way that I thought was like really fleshed out and deep. Because like the son is like, he has survived this whole time.
Yeah,
he has like
he's the reason you're here.
Like even with no memory, he's like done the right thing and like figured stuff out. And he busts out like, oh, I can speak Spanish. Oh, I'm gonna lie to this guy but not that guy. Like he's doing all these things, and I'm like, no, your son is like doing okay.
No one's talking to you.
¿Incorrecto? ¿De qué?
Se cree que nos vamos a convertir en insectos.
And you're like, don't give him any credit or whatever, right?
He's like what a Zach Morris type would end up being, where it's like, yeah, I'm failing at the actual life, but I can do things here and there.
Well, he was like, with real life, he was just kind of like tricking, like, is this enough? Let me just do this. If I act like this, that'll work. I don't know. And now that there's nothing, constraining him, he's just like, I think it's better if we stay together, guys. Let's do this. And he's whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he turns away that other girl who's like, I'm falling apart and I'm a mess and I want to fuck you. And he's like,
that seemed
no.
almost uncharacteristic to me for what that guy would do.
Big time.
And like, yes, he likes that girl, but she's not giving him the time of day at the moment.
Yeah.
Although, in a previous life, it seemed like they actually might have had something.
Leaving you severely emotionally retarded.
I prefer challenged, by the way.
No, and that's like when the flashbacks come in, because at first you're like, what like she's looking at at a post-it note or something, and it's like, what's happening or whatever. I actually thought for a minute that like the other girl, because they've lost their memories, they're like disoriented.
Yeah.
I thought the other chick might have been the chick he was gonna give his number to, but they've both forgotten. But then I'm like, no, that's not the same person or whatever. But that's the interesting, right? Because like she somehow has the number that he was just probably throws it at chicks constantly, playing the numbers game, but she's ended up with it, and they've lost their memory. Now they're doing this weird, we're too cool for each other, Freudian analysis relationship thing.
But that's what felt weird about the weather girl. I'm like, why is she so infatuated with this guy? And I get that, you want to survive any storm, any port in a storm type of thing. But it seemed like an over infatuation where she's like, I'll fucking kill myself now. You don't want me? Fuck off.
Cindy!
Here I am, right here! Cindy, please.
It has to be played off as if she's falling apart so much that that's her thing. And I don't know if that, but to your point.
It doesn't communicate exactly the way I think they want it to.
When it becomes self-destructive like that, you're like, okay, you are just, because even in the beginning, she's gonna go with the redneck guys in the pickup truck, but she changes her mind.
It's your funeral, lady.
Jumps out. I'm sorry, I'm gonna. So I'm like, okay, you're already non-committal and you don't know what's happening. Right?
Of the group though, redneck driving the truck guy would have been your alpha thought. And then he's got his boy who gets it so good.
Yes.
He jumps out of the car, his leg inverts and breaks, and then the car he jumped out of banks a U. He flips a bitch and then runs him over. You're like, oh. That's unfortunate.
No, and I think the simple way to interpret that is the movie's no. That's Rick Grimes. That's the guy the movie's supposed to follow, and he just fucking eats it, and it's over.
He gets it really good too. Rick Grimes character gets pulled up by a bug. The cop shoots the bug. He drops, bashes his head on a roof, and then falls to his death in a beautiful ragdoll.
No, they get killed in such a not quick, terrifying way.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of, I think, I took it more like the movie's telling you, this is not that type of party here. We actually have to huddle and have a conversation, and people are not we're going to arm wrestle, see who gets to go do the thing.
No one's going to welcome to Earth a bug.
No, it's not that. It's not that kind of a the tone that we're going for here. It wasn't so much to be see, they're bad. It was just okay, we're going to weave in, we're going to teach you. Okay, you can't just drive away. Why not? Oh, it becomes okay. They can hear the engine of the car and build up more of the lore that way and everything.
As far as post-apocalyptic vehicles, though, that is the vehicle I'd want to be in. That's the thing that could push cars out of the way.
Yes,
that's it's a nice diesel truck. It's strong as fuck. But yeah, in this particular situation, fucked.
When you think back to when this was, I keep referencing The Walking Dead because this came out around the same time, and this is intentionally telling you we're not doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The dad is also a source of some what I thought was cringier comedy. I don't know how you feel about this moment.
Oh, God damn it, Coop! He's following you!
Hugo, stay with my dad.
A deaf dude is Old Yeller when he's following the guy. I think it went on one rotation too long. I don't know if it hit for...
and they shoved him pretty hard.
He's still following!
Hugo, stay with my dad! Okay?
He went down into that bush, and I was like, oh man,
it's very much
mean here.
Yeah, and just the dad's he's still following you. He did all these jokes, and I'm like, you're ad-libbing this.
Well,
this
and what leads to this is that the dad tasers a bug, it explodes, the juice from the bug shorts out his cochlear implants, and you're like, oh, okay.
So now he's actually deaf, and now the son wants to go save the chick, and the dad wants to go whatever, and they're having their third act moment of whatever.
Yeah.
But it was weirdly undercut. It reminded me of in Doctor Strange when the cape wipes his face, and I'm like, you ruined the moment. What are you doing?
Stop.
It was the wrong tone for me.
But it's also one of those beautiful setup moments where you're like, okay, now he's actually deaf, and that's going to pay off later because he won't be able to hear the queen make her fucking screech.
And listen, I am such a sucker. Not only how it plays into the finale, but also, and I'm not going to mention signs because that clip doesn't properly communicate.
I wrote down.
It's too fucking long.
I wrote down this motherfucker signs did.
It's literally signs again, which I don't even like signs, but I love that moment where it's he had asthma the whole fucking time.
He didn't breathe. He's got asthma.
You've been feeding me all these facts, and she's had the glasses of water. We can't show the clip though. They play copyright music. It's horrible. I'm sorry. We've cut this out. Whatever. The point is, not only do we have the finale where he's immune to the scream and he gets to have his triumphant moment. Earlier, when he gets knocked out and he wakes up, I'm such a sucker for audio visual stuff where they cut the sound. And do they play the high pitched noise of you can't hear?
But the tinnitus sound.
Yeah, that Joker noise tinnitus sound. But I know they show the other guy screaming, but there's no sound coming out. because you're capturing the confusion of the moment, and I'm like, oh, I love that. And I even saw it coming, and it's not even that well done, but I was still like, I am a sucker for those moments in movies. Yeah.
I am interested though, like that seemingly, and again, we don't see the scope of the Earth in this situation.
Exactly.
Like, so it might only be that state or that county or whatever.
Right.
But like this creature screeches and stops Earth.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Like that's interesting. And honestly, that must be what it was, because the shortwave radios don't pick up anything.
And it like you could imagine, and that's what I think maybe the end is really trying to do, is like, oh no, like Earth was pelted Starship
with
Trooper
lots
style.
of these fucking meteors.
And this is just because otherwise, yes, like what are they looking at? The National Guard trucks rolling in because only their county was taken or something.
Maybe it was a series of biker chicks.
Ooh, now if they had cut to biker chicks,
so like that was also my note, was like if it were
Yes.
bikers, and then the next scene is like post credits, then we're like, so it's kind of like your fantasy, and like bugs are hitting them in the face, kind of.
Fantasies are best kept as fantasies. Yeah, they had to do that. They had to do something.
Yeah.
Yes, like the sleeves are torn off of his thing, and he has a fucking thing on. He's like, I'm a biker now. It's like, you asshole. What are you doing?
Dude.
What the fuck's happening? Yes. Because really now, like in theory, this is, like it's almost like Independence Day, but they play it the opposite way, where it's like, we know how to kill him now. It's flammable gas, and like plug your ears, or like whatever, but they don't do it. They just look off into the distance at like magic hour when the sun's hitting them, and they go, oh, what's that?
Whoa.
Holy shit.
How many deaf people do you think there are in the world?
This is Bird Box again, where it's like, what the fuck? No, there'd be people in every city and every place in the country who will not be affected by this. Yes.
You think? Like,
exactly.
Because all it takes is one person to open up one person, and so on and so forth. It's
Exactly.
like the spreading of the seed thing here. And
I just wouldn't have heard it. I would have slept through, like I could sleep through my alarm. I would have been like woken up through. I would have woken up 2 days later and been like, what's going on? What's happening?
Oh, God.
Shit. See that? Hey, remember the floss. Now get out of here. Go!
But that crazy bitch, like
Which
her,
bitch?
the one, the weather girl.
Okay.
Her fucking brother is turned, and like he's attacking everybody, and like they're teaming up trying to kill him. And she's like, "You're killing him." He's like, "No shit."
Oh, shit, lady. Yeah, exactly.
No shit!
Her level of insanity. I thought she was really good because, like, I believed she was an insane lady.
No, everybody really, I think, hit it. And even, like, the deaf dude I thought was maybe, like, misused or cringy. But then when he, like, shoots his dad and then starts crying and, like, reacting about it. And he says, like, he told me. Oh, this is something else we almost forgot to mention, because he must, they must have had the cliche version of the conversation. If I ever turn into one of those things, you gotta put me out of my misery. And then, like, the main character here is like, if I ever turn into one of those things, do not hurt. Just run away. Do not hurt me. Don't kill me.
Let me live.
Leave me alone.
If I ever turn into one of those things, don't hurt me. Just run away.
And I was like, it's such a fucking dumb. Because, like, honestly, between you and me right now, if this ever happens, maybe it's the most fun I've ever had. Maybe I'm enjoying my life as like a spider person.
I won't let that happen to you, Lee. I won't let you enjoy yourself.
You're like, that's all
not
the
now,
more.
Not ever.
That's all the more reason for me to put you out of your misery. I'm like so happy. I'm just cocooning people. I'm like, life is finally simple. I can just live now. Everything's easy. There's no stress. All of a sudden, my head explodes because you shot me through a thing with it. You asshole.
Oh, was that an 80-pound pull crossbow? Yeah.
You would do it too.
Of course.
And then we'd go take the arrow, put your foot on my head, and be like, I need this, and rub it in the back of your knee. You asshole.
I'd rub it on you.
Oh, good. I would be wearing my jeans, of course. Yeah.
They'd be curled up behind you.
Right? Conveniently already curled so you could put the arrow and rub it through.
Right, the little knee-high part and just weak.
Asshole.
So everything wrapped up, right?
Yeah.
Our leader, our boy, he has saved the Earth. He got his batteries in his remote. He blew up that bitch. Yes. And he's injured now. So they took him to a hospital. And I'm like, why would they take him to a hospital?
Oh my God. That's right.
That's so weird because they're not doctors. There's no reason to bring them there.
We must imagine that there's other people there.
It honestly seemed like all it was like, We need a bed with those arms.
We need.
Okay.
That's all they had.
Yeah.
They didn't show a hospital.
No.
Does he even have an IV? He does, I think. So there must be a doctor. Listen, in my
your
mind,
head at least.
in my mind, it's like one-stop shopping. We're gonna go to the hospital. We're gonna uncocoon some doctors to fix you up. Then we're gonna go downtown to the hardware store. We're gonna uncocoon the guy who works there. We're gonna buy some stuff. We're gonna go. Everything
Rebuild society?
is just uncocooning
But
people.
to me, it was like he just needed to rest. And they're like, quick, let's carry him hundreds of miles to the nearest hospital. Like it just.
Well, those
it felt
beds
so
have
weird.
healing properties.
I've heard that.
There's a magnetic
They're
charge
save
that
points,
goes.
really.
Those are like rings. It looks like it's just a plastic big handle with a hollow thing, but no, they're like rings. They run a charge through them, and a magnetic energy goes back and forth for the person sitting on the bed. It realigns your it's not chakras. That's like the woo-woo thing, but it's something with the magnetic poles. It's like how birds find north when they migrate.
It's like what's inside a Live Strong bracelet. It makes you a better athlete.
Yeah, tungsten.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, you scared the shit out of me. I peed a little.
One last issue.
Uh-oh.
When they're killing that crazy bitch's brother, there's just a pitchfork just laying against the garage. In every movie, there just seems to be just like the most convenient weapon, just in the garbage was a rifle that was loaded, like just things like that always seem to happen. That one it was just like, it's a white garage on a really nice house with no hay in sight.
I was gonna say.
No reason. They definitely have a person that comes and like manicures the lawn. Like they don't do that themselves, and there's just a pitchfork laying there.
Chad? Susan? Shh. It's me. It's Cindy.
For our boy to be like, put it through you. Dad, help me push it. Like
you live in a prison of your own making. Like what?
It's just such a weird thing to just picture. You're writing a movie, and the big bug comes, and then do they shoot him? No, they pitchfork him. Where do they get that? It's just laying there. Like it's such lazy writing.
Seems like the most easiest way to do it. Just fine.
That's the issue.
No, it's fine. It's
oh my God, Lee.
Who cares? Yeah.
Oh, it must be hell to be you.
It seems like to watch a movie and be like, yep, a thing happened. In my head, I don't even picture a pitchfork. I just picture they took care of it. Like who cares what they used?
I just picture a giant plot hole.
You just wanted like a thing to be there that wasn't a pitchfork?
Anything. They could hit him with a rock.
How about a pitchfork that has a price tag on it? So like they just bought that. That's why it's not put away yet or dirty.
Maybe if the garage door was just open and they had like a rack of tools, that would have been fine. But the fact that it's just
not
laying
tools
there.
In there.
I don't, but I know that it's laying there for
also,
no reason.
You're making
at
a
all.
lot of assumptions that the manicuring of the gardening is not happening by these people. I would use the
I saw his hand. His fingernails were perfectly.
I would use the pitchfork as proof that they are doing their own landscaping. Hence, they have a pitchfork.
Do you know what a pitchfork is for?
Listen, I've gone to home. I have a pitchfork.
You do not.
I went to home. It's a backhoe, or like a
That's
hoe.
not the same either.
No, it's like a garden weasel.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
But that's the point. Is you could just go buy one. They sell them, and you can weasel your garden. With it. You gotta aerate the soil.
I'm gonna aerate you with a gun.
For your potatoes.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's alright.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Got it. Thanks for that. The final piece of the puzzle that tells me the type of girl you really are.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinions you can really trust.